Greetings, Internet. Welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. This is going to be a run-through of, or part run-through, of an upfront game I'm playing against a live opponent, a guy called Randy from, I think it's Austin, Texas. I know it's definitely Texas in the States. We've played up front on and off since 2013, so effectively 10 years. I think in that time we've played about 22, 23 scenarios. There's been a long hiatus of us not playing it. We played a scenario last week, which was a good learning, get back into it, scenario A, which is the meeting of patrols. And this is scenario B, city fight. Randy's playing the Germans, I'm playing the Russians. And it's a straight log. We're playing via Vassal, and I kept a log file, and we've agreed that, I can talk through, narrate it now, and see what you guys think of it. We've completed nearly 2 decks. There's 3 decks in total, so there's still 1 more deck to go. And it's, well, I'm not going to say what it is. You can see how we go from there. Let's go down to, I say go down, because all I'm going to do is bring it actually up onto this screen. So let me upload the actual screen content. So this is what the Vassal module looks like. And I've set it up. I started the log file as we were just about to start the game. We've had initial terrain placement. The Germans in 3 groups with 10 dudes, and the Russians with 15 men in 3 groups. Just in case you're not sure what Upfront is, it's a World War II tactical game using cards. And it's basically a squad versus a squad. The vehicles do come in later on in later scenarios. But in this scenario, as it's called, say, city fight, it's a infantry versus infantry, and it's the one who makes the most aggressive actions by the end of the game will gain the most victory points. And how is aggression actually marked? Well, let me just zoom in a little bit in. You look on these groups of dudes, we've got this range here, and as we move forward, that range counter will go up, and at the end of 3 times through this deck, the amount of men in each group is multiplied by the range, but they must be in buildings. If they're not in building terrain, they count for nothing. So if I get this group of 5 men up to range 2 and in a building by the end of turn 3, I would get 2 times 5 is 10 points. Basic math slipped me by there for a moment. Yeah, it would be worth 10 points. You also get points for removing enemy units from the game, and the person who has the most points by the end of turn 3 wins. The other way the scenario could end is if a squad gets broken, and a squad is broken if it suffers more than 50% casualties. So the Germans have got 10 men. So as soon as they take their 6th man removed, their squad breaks. Myself, 15. As soon as my 8th man goes, squad breaks. So that's effectively the 2 ways that the scenario could end. So all you're going to see really is cards being played, and I'm going to be narrating it from memory, what we were talking about and discussing at the time, but also what's actually comes up in the log over here. So it generally will just show cards discarded and such forth. So, okay. This also, the deck has been set up as a city deck, so it has changed some of the basic cards. For example, buildings are still buildings, but there are no woods. They've been now changed to alleyways. The waterway card looks different. There's a card there that says hedges. Well, there are no hedges in the normal deck. They are actually brush cards, which they've changed for this template. That's the main difference of terrain. I might as well show you I can't show you the German hand, but I can show you what my hand was. So that might be useful, because then I can go through my actual thought processes at the time. The question is, can I bring... All right, so that's my current hand at the start of the game. So bleeding useless because it's too high a fire value. Plenty of movement. That one might be useful to keep. And the way that the German hand and the Russian hand work are totally different. And that's how some of the main national characteristic is brought into the game. With the Germans, they have a hand of five cards. They can do an action on each and every one of their groups if they can, and still discard a card. So they get quite a lot of changeover in the cards. The Russians, my hand is 4, and I can do actions on each group. If I do any actions, I can't discard. If I want to discard, I can't do any actions, but I can discard up to all 4. So I can do a quick get rid of what, it's a lot of dross in my hand, and effectively plan B, C, D, E, whatever. The Germans, 1 action per group, maximum per turn, and still a discard. So a bit more tactical flexibility than what I've got. So I'm going to show my hand each time that it changes, sort of thing. So, but it is the Germans to start. So let's see what actually happens. So it says he draws a card into his hand, and he plays a fire card. I think that was he realized it was an error. So I said, no, you can't do that. I'm using a PC. Randy's using a Mac. And it seems like the Mac is a little bit flawed in the program, because he kept having problems putting cards back into his hand or doing anything with them. So he's basically just trying to discard cards. Okay. So German he put the wrong fire card. He now puts the correct fire card down. And it says from German hand into play on Group B. So he's firing from his Group B onto my Group B. And he then draws one fire card for each of my dudes. And then we compare. So he's got a fire strength of 1. He adds that to whatever this is. If it's a black number, it's a plus. If it's a red number, it's a minus. And he's comparing it to the morale of each of my guys. So my morale is there 3. So he's got 1 plus none, has no effect. He's got to equal or exceed morale. Second card, it's a 1 minus 1 is 0. His morale's 4, so no problem. Onwards. The units of 4 plus 1's a 5. That should pin my third dude. And there he goes. He's flipped over, showing he's pinned. Then a 0, no effect. And then another 3 on the last guy. Pins him. And then we discard the cards. Then he discards a card from his hand because he's allowed to do that. And then he draws 2 cards. Okay. So going back, I've just discarded a card. Russia discards a card from his hand because, ideally, I want a rally card. Remember, that's all I had. That 17 card. Let me just backtrack a bit to show you there it is. I then discard that because it's no use. There's no way at the ranges we're at the moment that I can generate 17 firepower. How do you generate firepower? Well, you look at each of the cards, and if you see there's like a little range value and then a fire value. So that guy I've got highlighted there, Private Podgorny, at range 0 has got firepower 0. Even at range 5, which is as close as you can get, it'll be 5 firepower. So yeah, to get 17 at the ranges, because we're very distant from each other, not going to happen. So bringing that up, my first play, I'm quite happy with the movement. I want movement because I actually want terrain, so I can move terrain. I don't want to move in the open because that just be be foolhardy. So discard that card. I discard one of them. I don't need 2 movement cards, and I draw another movement and a fire card. Again, that's still quite high. This one's doable, but that one's a little bit too high. So, yeah, moving on. Okay, Randy plays a movement card on his group C. And then draws a card. He forgot to increase the relative range, but I did remind him. And then he increased the range. So that means he's moving closer. What these relative ranges are in actual meters, don't know. But I like to see them as sort of like 25, maybe 30 meter moves. So he's moved 30 meters closer to my groups, which changes the range on my, if I bring up my counter there, I'm still can't shoot them at relative range 1. I've still got a firepower 0 on most of my guys, whereas his riflemen at range 1 have got a firepower of 1. So they're a bit more effective at the longer range. Going back on what I do, I again discard that 9. I can't seem to get him to use it. And I discard one of those movement cards because that's exactly what I did last time. I draw another movement card and some rubble. Okay, now rubble is effectively, I believe it's a marsh has now become a rubble. If you look at the values on that, -1 in the circle and -1, it's not good to fire from, but it does give a little bit of protection. And it takes a little bit of effort to get out of it, as you would expect, because it's a marsh. Well, it's rubble, no longer marsh. Okay, and he places himself in rubble, which is interesting. I don't think he fully read what the card does, but it still gives him a bit of protection. It's better than sitting in the open with a movement card on you. So, yeah, he's moving forward. Discards from his hand. He draws back into his hand. And that's back to me. I still can't really do very much. I could move forward. I could move into rubble, but I don't like slowing myself down. So what do? I discard the rubble. I could have played the rubble on him on a group that was moving, but, you know, that's what I've only got 4 cards in my hand and I can't keep things loitering in there. So get rid of those 2. I draw now this is a split card. What it means that for the Russians, Germans, Americans, British, French, Japanese, and whatever that last symbol is, I think that's Finns, it's a concealment card. But for the for the Japanese, Russians, and the Finns, it's also a movement card. For the Italians, it's a cover card. That means there's no use to them at all. So that's not bad. Concealment and movement. And a reasonably low firepower for this range. I'm thinking, so I can start firing at these Germans. Right. And all Randy did was he discard and drew a card. Back to me. You do get this lulls. So I discarded the card. And let me go back on that. I thought lower. If he'd moved forward, I might have been able to fire at him with that. But that needs firepower to generate 2 fire strength. That needs 4 firepower to generate 3 fire strength. So I thought, keeping the churn, I need to get rid of cards in my hand. So I got rid of that fire too. I think I got rid of that concealment as well. I thought it was good, but I need to get. I've got 2 guys pinned. I need a rally card. I'm desperate for a rally card, and I pick up a really useful fire card there, didn't I? 18 firepower. I can't really use that. But alleyways, somewhere to hide. Looking good. German discards a card from their hand, so they didn't do anything, and he draws a card. So he's obviously not got great cards. Or he's planning something. He's building up what he's got to go with. I, at that point, decide, now I've got the alleyways, I've got somewhere to go, I can move forward. So I place a move on my Group A. Now let's have a look at what my Group A actually consists of. There's 5 guys, and they're all armed with that Russian machine pistol, the PPSH-41. So at ranges 1 and 2, no, rubbish. 3, they start to be 1 firepower each, so I can start playing 5 firepower, and then I've got at range 4 closer, there'll be 3, so that'll be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 firepower from them. And if I ever get to range 5, that'll be 25. That will be, I can play virtually, I think it is every fire card in the deck. Okay, and then they've also got a demo charge. So yeah, move forward, guys. I need to increase that relative range counter to 1. And then I draw a card. And I draw a good concealment card, which is useful. Remember, I can't get rid of this card because I've done an action on a group, and I can't do both, unfortunately. Anyway, that endeth my turn. What does Randy do at that point? Rushes him forward. He's kept a low fire card, right. As he says, he puts from German hand into play on Group A. He was firing from Group B with that nasty light machine gun, firepower of 1. Sorry, firepower of 2 required, and that machine gun generates. Why is that staying blowing up? Get away. Okay, generates at range 1, because we're at range 1 now, a firepower of 5, because it's crewed with a guy adjacent to it. So he's got more than enough to generate that. So it's a fire strength of 1, plus 1 for you moving is 2. Do I play the concealment card? Let's have a look. Of course I do. Yeah, got to protect moving groups. So he draws 5 cards. So the current strength is fire strength 1. Movement plus 1 is 2. Minus 3. So he's at net minus 1 at the moment. Looking for some high numbers. So that's a miss. That's a miss. That's a miss. We're again looking at 1, plus 1, 2, minus 3 for the concealment, with a 0 on the third man. The third man's got morale 3, so it's not close. Minus 4 and 0. Net, no effect. Phew! He draws a card into his hand, and I then, as my first play, okay, let's just backtrack again. Rush on it. So I'll get down to 3 cards because that concealment card's gone. You don't replenish your hand until it's the end of your turn, so I don't just get a random extra card. But I will now put that alleyways onto my group there, removing the movement card. So my guys are moving up 1 range and into alleyways. But that's not worth any victory points whatsoever, because remember, it's only buildings that generate victory points. But they are closer with those nasty machine pistols. I draw a rally 1. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And another useless fire card. So I've now got 2 useless fire cards in my hand. Okay. What does he do now? He plays a little fire on my group here, my group B, from his group A, hoping to make these guys change from their current status, which is pinned, into panics. So fire strength of 1. Remember, now I don't have any concealment to play on that. And he's generating 5 dudes, 5 cards, because it's 5 dudes. First one, minus 3, no effect. Second one, 0, no effect. Third one, whew, the one that was pinned, no effect. Fourth one, he now becomes pinned. His morale is 2. And the last one, phew, no degradation other than an extra pin guy. Remember, I picked up a rally 1. Thanks. Rally 3 would be now really good. Okay. Any drawing card in his hands. So I play that rally 1 on one of my guys. And I rally the guy that's crewed with my light machine gun in the hope that I can generate some firepower if required. But that does mean, because I've done an action in that group, I can't get rid of these 2 blinking annoying cards in my hand. Because I can't do discards and actions. Bloody Germans. Okay. So, and I drew a concealment in my hand. He now starts to move forward. Now, he's trying to move this forward, and I said, check the rubble card out, mate. German increases range. No, you can't increase range. Go back. He has to play it sideways to get out of that rubble. And he draws a card into his hand. As they're now moving at range, and I've managed to rally that guy, I can play that 4 card that I had in my hand. Let's just go back on that. So I could have discarded those 2 rubbish fire cards, but I decided no, he's moving. Let's try and disrupt him a little bit. So I play the fire card. Now that's got a fire of 4. Now he's at range 1. If you look at my LMG, range 1 has got a firepower of 4. There's 2 numbers in the LMG there. The first one is if he's firing with a guy helping him, i.e. crewed. The second one is if he fires on his own and he's not crewed. Well, he is crewed. That's what the crew counter there is showing. Why the German one is not in between the 2, we couldn't get it to fit between the 2. Again, I don't know if that was a Mac thing because he's using a Mac or whatever, but we take a note of that guy and that guy are crewed, whereas my one does sit nicely between the 2, as you'd have it in the physical game. Right, after a bit of waffle, let's play that card. So, yeah, I place it in the action played in my group, show that's the group that's firing, and I place it in the target. So it's a fire strength of 3. Their moving is +1 is 4, but -1 for the rubble is 3. And he plonks a 2 concealment on it. It's down to 1. But still, yeah. Also, at any point, if you decide that you don't want to continue the fire, you don't have to. But at 1, that's not bad. 1 + 1 is 2, no effect. No effect. And, -6. Ouch. That's my LMG gone. Well, it's this group firing. But if you look at the weapons break on the 6, he's the main protagonist. So it should be his weapon that breaks. Well, we have to do what's called a random number check. Now, looking at this card, I've just zoomed up. We look at the numbers at the bottom. The numbers at the bottom, the 1, 2B, 3, 4C, and such forth in blue, do you know how many men are in the group? So it's a 5-man group, so we're looking under the 5th, where it says 5-0. And then the number in black or red underneath that denotes which man in that group has been affected. So it is the second man, and the second man, guess what, is the one that's armed with the light machine gun. So the light machine gun has malfunctioned. And I put that, click that counter on there. So yeah, his morale drops. He's in a little bit of a panic. He's got to fix that light machine gun, which is an action. So I did nothing by shooting at him other than malfunction my own machine gun. Great, guys. And I draw a card into my hand, and it's a minefield card, which is blinking useless in this scenario. Is called a coward card. So I've now got 3 cards in my hand, which are... Wonder what I'll be doing next round. Okay, but he just discards, so he didn't have a terrain card waiting. Okay, so I discarded, I think I discarded 3 discards. Yeah, taking my hand out. That -2 concealment's good, but get rid of that dross. and drew another rubbish fire card. Not so bad, but I still can't use it because I only got 4 because my machine gun's now broken, and a concealment stroke move card. Not great, but I still need a rally card, and I've got now a malfunctioning machine gun. Okay, now he's played another movement card on there. I was expecting a terrain card. So he plays one sideways to get out the rubble and one forward to go to range 2. Is he thinking that my LMG is not going to... So he's either got another terrain card waiting for them. So I don't know. Obviously, I can't see his hand. But that means now, because he's at range 2, my group of soldiers here at range 2 got a firepower of 1 each, and there's 5 of them. Means I could play that card, which I thought I couldn't play if he hadn't moved forward. So this is a good shot. So fire strength of 3, plus 1 movement is 4, plus another movement is 5, and you don't get the terrain once you've got the second movement card on. So that's a fire strength of 5. That's good for this early in the game. There's only 3 Germans, so the first one -5. Wow, 5 -5, big fat hairy 0. That will be a fire strength of 5. In round of 5, he'll be pinned. Yay. The third dude, 5 plus 5 is 10. If you look at the bottom of the card, you've got morales, the point value if you're buying the card, and the KIA is 8. I've equaled or exceeded the KIA. Private Streich is dead. KIA, killed in action. Boom, gone. That felt good. Okay, that will teach you for placing 2 movement cards, one on top of the other, because I would have played sideways and then a normal movement. But that's the risk. I thought he might have been thinking he might get away with it because my LMG was malfunctioned. So, what's that for? Random number check. Oh, that was me trying to fix the weapon, because I did a fire from this group. Right, let's go back. I'm trying to think. Remember, I am doing this the next day. So why did I draw that number? Yeah, I was trying to fix that weapon. Now, if I can zoom in on that, repair 1 to 6. This is at the top of the card. Broken, black 1 to 6, broken, as in completely removed from the game, on a red 4 to 6. So it's a red 0, so nothing happened. He tried to fix it, it hasn't been fixed. And then I draw a fire card that I can't use into my hand. Ideally, it would be nice to get another fire card to keep hammering that Group C. But he's allowed to place a building on them now. So all the other cards are now discarded, and they're in a building. Back to me. Trying to fix that machine gun. I do. It's a black 3. Remember, I'm looking for 1 to 6. That's now fixed. Still, no rally card. 2 dudes chewing the dirt. Okay. And then I play a movement on this group to move them forward. I haven't got a terrain card, remember, but I do have that concealment. So I'm planning at the moment to move them forward, probably into open ground. Open ground is a play of any card. And I'm thinking, well, this card's not doing any good, is it? I could play that as open ground because you just flip it and play it on the other side. That was the plan at that stage. I increased the range chit. So now these 2 groups, he's on range 2, I'm at range 1. We're at what's called relative range to each other is 3. We add the 2 numbers together. If I move to 2 and he moves to 3, we're at range 5. We can't move through each other. So we'll be as close, effectively within a few meters. And the only way to move further forward is if you force them back, the group that's directly opposing you, or you take them out. So, but we've definitely closed the range here. So I'm in the open, and he is in the buildings, good buildings as well. And I picked up a sniper card. Okay, moving on. He plays a rally all card, which is the most potent rally to rally one dude. If you've only got it, that's what you got. That's what you got. Okay. You're still having problems with his discards. It's my go. I flip that card over to its front or its back. Technically, it's back, I suppose, and place it on my group there. So they're no longer moving, but they're in open ground. And then I draw a waterways card. Now, this is a good card to play on an opposing group if they're moving, because they get stuck in this stream, canal, whatever. For me, though, it's not so good because A, he's got no one moving, and B, I need to get rid of these cards because all right, that's a useful card. The sniper's a useful card to play on the enemy. I can't generate enough firepower for that, and he's got no one moving. So I've got 3 cards that need to be discarded. So guess what I might be doing in my next turn. He's firing on my group B from his LMG group. He can generate the 4 firepower, fire strength of 2, and I still can't rally these guys. Come on, guys, hold on. I did have that 2 concealment, so it takes his fire attack from 2 down to 0. Hitting the 5. First guy is a 0, rolls a 3. That pins him. Oh, man. Second shot does nothing to the LMG guy. Third one, okay, it's at 0, rolls a 0, so that's okay. Fourth one, it's a 3. Oh man, if you look his numbers, panic is 2. So my man's panicked. We then determine what kind of panic. There's 2 you can either rout or effectively you're killed in action. Rout is worth 1 victory point, KIA is worth 2. And it says there, rout, OR-RNC is greater than 2. We look at the card that caused the damage, which is this card. We look at that final blue line at the bottom, which says OR, and it's 0. If that number was equal to or greater than 2, sorry, no, just greater than 2, my man would have routed. He would only counted as 1 victory point for him. However, it isn't, so my man counts as KIA. So that's worth 2 victory points. I am sitting here with a big cheesy grin, not. Okay, so my man is removed. I move the other guy up. And the last one has no effect. So because I hadn't been able to play a rally card, I'm now down 1 guy. Just to bring that up on here. Yeah, there we go. Let me just make that a bit smaller. All right, so we can see there's 2. We've lost 1 man each. Okay. And that ends his shot. Right. So as I said last time, my action is discard. I was just cleaning up the main board. He discards. I'm getting rid of cards, and then I'm playing the sniper. Snipers are played as discards. I'm playing it on that group there. So with a sniper, we first of all got to see who the sniper picks on. So it's done with that random number check. So drawing 1 card. We look at that 2B at the bottom because there's a 2-man group, and it's the second man. So it'll be the guy with the satchel charge. We then look to see what the effect of the sniper attack is. and it's a red one. So if you look at the card there, if it had been a 2 to 3, it would have been a pin. A 4 to 6 would have been a KIA. A 1 is nothing. It missed. I then fill up my hand. So let's bring my hand back up. Boom. Boom. And boom. And yeah, buddy. I was so excited at that point, finally. But will I be able to get to that point? Because you can get another shot on those dudes. We shall see. Okay, so he's now doing a sniper check. He's doing an action on this group, and he has to draw a number higher than what I did, which was a 1. So a 2, 3, 4, 5, or a 6, but it must be black. When you're doing the sniper attack, it doesn't matter if it's red or black, but the sniper check, it must be black. And he rolls a red one. My sniper got away with it. He then draws back his head. Oh, he doesn't have a fire card. Oh, thank goodness for that. So I was able now to play my rally 2, which brings those 2 guys back into the 4. Whew. Now, also at this point, if you look here, this count is showing how far we are through that deck. This deck is 140 cards, and as you can see, it does everything. Remember, the scenario is 3 times through that deck. So at the start of this video, I did say something along the lines, I will do the first 2 decks. Maybe not. I think I'll... I don't want to make these videos too long, and I seem to be going on and on. So I'm actually going to pause at this point. I'm just going to refill my hand up. So that's what we are at the moment. Oh, got some buildings. And I'm going to pause there. Let me bring this back up to the top. And there we go. As I say, when I originally started, I didn't realize when you're actually narrating things, it does take a lot longer than you plan. So, yeah, I'm not going to change the initial introduction. It is what it is. I've got to this point, and halfway through that first deck, and I'm thinking, yeah, this video is going on a bit long. Because I'm narrating, I'm describing what I've seen is happening, what I think is happening. So I hope you enjoyed it so far. So me and Randy hadn't played for quite a while, and I actually hadn't played up front apart from the intro game we did last week. So we hadn't played for a while before that one last week, if you see what I mean. But I was actually surprised by how little rules referencing we had to do. I know I've played a lot of this game, but we had, as I say, it was flowing very nicely. We made it because of that terrain being slightly different, because it is the city fight on the Vassal module. They've changed some of the cards to represent the city, which if you've only got the real board game or card game, it doesn't do. It tells you that certain cards aren't effects. It would have asked you to actually remove 4 of the woods cards because to represent the city, but in this we don't have to because they've now changed it to alleyways. Up front, one of my favorite games. It plays fast, it's fun to play, and it always creates an interesting story, no matter what you do. And you could play scenario A, and only scenario A, with just the Germans and Russians, and obviously it'll be different every time you play it. But you've got Germans, Russians, Americans, then you've got British, Japanese, French, Italian. Those are the core nations. They introduced, there was a Finnish, I wouldn't say module, but mini expansion. And I think that was unofficial. So you can get Finnish units. And each nation plays differently, but it's always fun. If you don't have this game, get it, play it. You'll be entertained. It can be played solo. In fact, the previous videos I shot for this game, I did play it solo, and it still gave an interesting game because you're not sure what cards are going to come up for the opponent you're playing with, and each time you're a different opponent, and it still created it. Yeah, it was great fun. As I say, always hit the like and subscribe if you enjoy what I do. All comments will be fully responded to, and I enjoy reading them. Until next time. Oh, and the little ding-a-ling. So yeah, until next time, have fun, play games, get this one. Buy internet. Now I'm going to make sure I find the actual right button to press.